Cassie Parks, and I'm so excited that you're here today to learn how to attract more money quickly and easily into your organization so that you can make the bigger impact that you desire. The key to that is to budget for attraction, which is about attracting more money into your organization and making that bigger impact that you desire. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an individual, or running a nonprofit organization, these tools to open up the possibilities and to really get clear about what you want and budget for attraction lead to more money flowing in quickly and easily. I have helped nonprofits become clear on what will attract more money and help them open up to a possibility mindset when it comes to money and budgets. And I'm going to walk you through one of them that I worked with as we go along this presentation so that you can take it away and apply it to your business and your nonprofit. You're going to learn the steps for budgeting for attraction, which are identify your core purpose. We're really going to go into why is this important and why it might be missing right now and how it's key to attracting more money into your organization and making that big impact that you want to make. The second step is to create your dream budget. You've probably been coming from a place where you just look at the numbers that are and try to make it work. But what if you open your mind up and you asked, what do we really want to do and what would that cost? I'll walk you through that step. And I'll take you through the third step, which is really opening you as the leader and your team, getting you open to possibilities. To see how money can flow in and really just open up those channels so that you can naturally, quickly, easily attract more money into your organization. So the first step is to identify your core purpose, and successfully budgeting and attracting money to your organization will happen when there is one core purpose. Identifying your core purpose is all about staying in your own lane. And I learned this lesson, I teach this lesson to entrepreneurs, but I really learned it from a nonprofit that I was volunteering at in my early 20s. And it was Judy's House. And Judy's House is in Denver. We're lucky enough to have such an organization, and it's a place for grieving children and families. And that's what they do, is help kids and their parents heal through the grief process. And I was talking to the executive director when I was working there, and he said, we do grief. That's what we do. That is our purpose as an organization. And as I listened to him, he explained to me how it was hard for some people who came to Judy's House, especially if they had maybe a social work background or another resource-based background, because people wanted to, help this family out with resources. They wanted to, maybe they were a therapist that was volunteering and they wanted to work on the family dynamics, right? And he said, we have to stay in our lane because we're the only ones who do what we do. And if we start doing all of these other things, we won't do grief well. And that's what they come to us for. And I really took that lesson to heart. And like I said, I teach this to entrepreneurs because staying in your lane is really key to success as an entrepreneur, as a nonprofit. And it's important to tap back into this core purpose and staying in your own lane because that can change over time. So as I told you, I'm going to tell you about a nonprofit board that I've worked with that supports a local high school in our area. And I'm going to tell you about how their purpose changed over time, so you might be able to see how your purpose is changing. You can truly create more of an impact when you pick a lane, you decide that's what you're going to be the best at, and you make all decisions from that place. All right, so let me tell you about this high school board that I worked with. This is an amazing organization. About 10 years ago, this high school that meant a lot to a lot of people in the Denver metro area, which had been key to who they've become, was about to close because the school was underperforming. It had been warned, and no one could get it up to par enough to pass the state regulations and be good enough to be kept open. And so what happened is a group of alumni came together and they said, we will not let this school close. And so they did, they knew one of the keys was raising money. So as a board, they got together, they got alumni together, they created a board, they got donations, they got money to support this school. Well, 10 years later, the school is still open, and it's not in a position where it's in danger of being closed every year like it was in those first 1 to 5 years of that board. Now it's at a place where it's making the turnaround, right? They know they're going to be open, but they have different challenges now, which for them is to increase enrollment so that more students are going there, so that more money from the state is flowing in. So they're in that different position, but yet The board, when I started working with them, when they came together, they hadn't updated their purpose. They hadn't updated their core purpose. So some people had started on this board 10 years ago. And they knew the original purpose was to keep it open. Some people were concerned neighbors who just wanted to support their neighborhood and make it better. Others were alumni who this had meant everything to, and they just wanted to do whatever they could to make this school as good as it can be, to have the same impact on other kids as it had had on them. And the key to budgeting for attraction is having one purpose. It is truly the beating heart of your mission. So it's even more refined and tight than a mission statement, right? Your mission statement kind of tells how you're going to do it. It's big. Your core purpose is that one thing. Like going back to Judy's house, we help with grief, children and families healing in grief. And so it's a key to budgeting for attraction. And one of the big parts about that is getting everyone on the same page, having everybody have beating in that same heart space of that mission, because it impacts everything that flows through the organization, especially money. So how do you get everybody on the same page? The place I like to start, and this is where I started with the high school board. Why are you here? Whether you are a volunteer board member, a paid board member, whether you are the executive director or an employee of your nonprofit, it's important to understand why you're here. When you ask people why you're here, it gets immediate buy-in. It reminds them why they show up, because it can get easy, especially when we're talking about budgets and financing, what we can and what we can't do, what we want to do. It can get easy to forget why you are here, you as the leader and the rest of your community and your employees and your board. Why is everyone here? The core reason is to make a difference, and it's important to remember that. Asking why you are here also creates the connection. So when I do this exercise, I just hand out note cards and I have everybody write it down and pass it in, and then I read it out loud. Because hearing why everyone is here creates that extra bond, that extra connection, which really sets your nonprofit up to be more of a success and to be ready to budget for attraction and identify their core purpose. So after you understand why is everybody here and you're all connected on that basis, ask them. Ask everyone in your room who's in charge, who touches your budget, who is in charge of making these financial decisions, who wants to be part of bringing more money into your organization to make a bigger impact. What is our core purpose? The core purpose is number one. It allows everyone's voice to be heard when you allow them to speak it or write it. I always like to write it and then again, read it as the leader, because then you're acknowledging everyone's voice, right? What do they think is going on? What do they think is the core purpose, the heartbeat of your mission? What this does is it naturally shows where people aren't on the same page. They hear it when you read it off, right? And you realize, going back to that high school board, they saw like, oh, I thought we were supposed to increase, PR and the reputation of the school. Oh, I'm here because I want the kids to be safer. I'm here because I want it to be seen as a better place in the neighborhood, right? Everyone was coming from a different core purpose. There's a likelihood that might be going on in your organization, and it's important to come to this core purpose so you can start attracting more money. It opens the discussion as well to discover your core purpose, because remember, that can change over time, just like the high school board. In the beginning, it was about keeping the doors open every single day. Now it's about taking kids that are coming to that school and giving them the opportunities to thrive and get the education that those around them are receiving. So going back to that high school board, I mentioned a couple of them, but there were about 5 areas of purpose identified, so you can understand how this was impacting everything in their financials as well as everything else about their board. Nobody was on the same page. There were 12 people and 5 different ideas of what lane they should be driving in. And having more than one purpose doesn't allow for effective budget attraction or management of the money. It just makes everything messy because you don't know where you're going. You have to create a consensus of your core purpose. This allows your organization to do more good. Sometimes, both in the entrepreneurial world where I work a lot, And in nonprofit organizations as well, you think you can do more good if you spread it out and you do more things, right? But when you come to that consensus of that core purpose, you can actually have more of an impact. If we look at the high school, when they pick their core purpose to be to elevate the education and the tools that the students have to learn, if more students naturally go there, that naturally increases the PR. It naturally increases the neighborhood value and what's going on. Because they're focused on one thing, they actually have a greater impact than trying to serve everything. One of the most powerful things it does when it comes to budgets and the money is it creates clear yeses and clear nos. This does a couple of things for your organization. One, it makes it easy to say yes. If something is alignment with your core purpose, that money is there and you go for it. If it's not in alignment, it makes it an easy no, right? If it doesn't serve that core purpose. For the high school board, this came to, I saw this come to fruition at the end of their meeting after we worked together. We worked together for about 2 hours and then they had to handle their normal business. And when it came to, well, we've had this request for money, we've had this request for money, they were able to easily say, that doesn't impact students in the classroom, so that's a no, right? And when they got asked to support something in the classroom, that was a definite yes. It made for less discussion and, in all honesty, a lot less hurt feelings because everybody was on the same page. So nobody was trying to go off in their own lane, right? They could come back to each other and say, does this fit our core purpose? You focus on your area of purpose, your core purpose, you will have a greater impact than spreading it out. Another reason that you need a consensus of core purpose is that money is attracted to clarity. When everything is scattered all over, there's no magnet, there's no attraction. But when you put out one bucket, figuratively or literally, money can be attracted there because it says this is what we do. So people know this is what we do. When I put money here, this is the impact I'm going to have. This has both that physical, when people think, okay, this is what I want to support in my community and my life. They think of you when you have your core purpose identified. It's also energetically a way to attract more money because it's clear what you do and the impact you're having. Your organization can do more good with one core purpose as the guiding light. You get to create those clear yeses and those clear nos. Decisions are so much easier when you know your core purpose. Going back to that high school example and talking about listening to them, be able to easily go through a list of requests that would have taken them the couple hours of the board meeting, we were able to go through those in 15 minutes. And one of the requests was to support something in the community, to give to another organization that was creating something in the community, and they would have got their name on a banner, and it would have helped students, but it wouldn't have helped directly with their education. So that was an easy no for them. They were all on the same page because they said, no, that doesn't help the students with the technology and the educational experience. Now, if they had chosen PR, to upgrade the reputation, that's where we want to put our impact, that would have been a yes. And they in fact discussed that. They said, nope, we didn't pick that as our core purpose, so that's not what we're going to invest in this year. We want to invest in the classroom. And it was so easy, and it was awesome to see them all on the same page. I don't feel like I can stress this enough because our minds, again, always think if we just do more, if we just expand, if we reach more areas, we'll be making a bigger impact. But when your purpose is focused, you can have a deeper impact in that area, and then that spreads out. Again, money is attracted to clarity. When you have a clearer purpose, that equals more money attracted to your organization naturally. You become a lighthouse. You become, with the light on, right? That says we're here. We know what we do. We're clear on what we do and how we are going to make the impact, which automatically invites more money to flow in from places that you might not even expect. So the second step in this process for budgeting for attraction is creating your dream budget. This is actually my favorite part of the process. So before we talk about creating your dream budget, let's talk about a couple reasons that you're not attracting money. So reasons you don't attract money. One is that you have no clear core purpose. And that doesn't attract money It doesn't invite money in, because donors, people who want to invest in their community, making the world a better place, making a difference, they want to know where it's going to. It can feel risky when they don't know exactly what's going on, right? You've probably seen some of those lists that float around that say, don't invest here because all your money goes to overhead or goes to this or goes to that, right? And the reason people circulate that is because when they give their hard-earned dollars, something that means something to them, it's an investment from them to you, they want to know they are making a difference, just like you, right? That's why you do what you do, to make this world a better place. And that's what they want to do when they give you money. They want to invest in that better world. So the clearer your purpose is, the easier it is to give them money, right? Whenever there's something that happens in my life where there's a grieving child, it doesn't matter whether it's in Colorado or across the world, if it impacts me, I give to Judy's house, because that impacts that piece of my life. That feels like I'm doing something. I'm making a difference. I'm helping a child heal, which is having an impact in my life. The same with other things that go on, right? I also give to Women's Beam Project because I love when we teach skills that empower women to live on their own and create their own lives and make their own money. So that core purpose is important in attracting money. So the other reason that you don't naturally attract money is because so often, and again, this happens in individuals, it happens in entrepreneurs, and it happens in nonprofits, there's this feeling that there's never enough. Like, we're never going to be able to make that impact. There's never going to be enough money, you know? When you sometimes look at the dollars and cents and think about all these big visions, these big dreams, the big impact, the difference you want to make, it can be easy to go, I don't know how we're ever going to do that, right? There's never going to be enough. In fact, the high school board that I'm talking about, they had been walking around for a couple years with that feeling. They came into meetings thinking, we're never going to make the impact. We're never going to be able to support this school to get where we want it, where it makes the difference that it made in our lives. Just a little preview. They got through that, and I'm going to teach you how. When you feel like there's never enough, your brain gets overwhelmed. You can't see possibility when you're in overwhelm because your brain is just trying to figure out what to do next, right? It takes stepping back and creating a space for possibility, which is what your dream budget does. So this is all based on your core purpose. So you move on to this activity when you are clear on that core purpose. You create your dream budget. Go all in. So what does that mean, go all in? Take your core purpose and the impact that you want to have and make a list. You can do this as individuals and then come together. You can do this as a group with a big whiteboard, but make a list of everything you want to do, everything you want to serve that is in alignment with your core purpose. The way I set this exercise up is I say, imagine if you ask for it, somebody's going to write the check for it tomorrow. They just need the total number. They need to know what you are going to do, make sure it's in alignment with your core purpose, and they need to know the exact numbers, right? Which is the third step in this creating your dream budget. You have to get clear and accurate numbers. It can't be like, we want to do this, right? Someday we want to do this. No, go figure out how much is that going to cost. Really, figure out how much that's going to cost. Don't guess. If you know there's an impact you want to make, part of going all in is getting clear about the numbers. Because when you get clear about the numbers, that starts to lessen that overwhelm. And I'm also going to show you how it will lessen that feeling of there's never going to be enough. So just to recap this one, because it's important, get your team together. Do this with who creates the budget and say, this is our core purpose. If someone was going to give us the check tomorrow, as long as we could tell them what we were going to do, it was in complete alignment with our core purpose, and we could give them the accurate numbers of what it would cost, what would we do to make the impact we want to make? So here's what happened with that high school board that I've been talking about and whom I love. They realized that they didn't need nearly as much as they thought to make the impact they thought they needed. They thought for them it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So you can see how they were Even though they didn't realize it, they were always thinking it's never enough. And they were always overwhelmed because they thought they just needed to figure out how to do more, right? But when we got them together and they decided their core purpose, and I had the principal there, and I looked at him and I said, what would it take? What's the number? What do you need to get the educational experience of your students to the level of everyone else in this state? What would that take? Now, the board was completely surprised when we totaled it up and it was about $40,000. Now, your organization is probably bigger and that number is going to be bigger, and that's okay. The point is that it wasn't in the hundreds or 200s or millions of dollars they thought they needed to create to have the impact they wanted to have, right? Which meant they immediately saw the possibility that they could accomplish this. And then they could pick a new core purpose in a couple years from now. It wasn't going to be an uphill battle. And that alone, that relief, that is allowing them right now to make the impact that they want to make. Dream budgeting, doing this exercise, it starts to feel like this is possible. I'm going to show you how you can start having a greater impact today. The way you do this is that you allocate your current budget based on your dream budget. So when you allocate based on your dream budget, of course you have overhead, you have all those other things. But when you have the money that's left over or still there, start investing in those things that are on your dream budget. Start creating the pathway for those to start happening. In terms of the high school board, they immediately were able to transform 5 classrooms because they had that money in their budget. And they said, this is the money we normally give away. We can't do all 20. We can't make the $40,000 impact today, but we can start with that 5. And you know what that 5 does? It leads to more, because once rooms are transformed, better teachers start getting attracted to the school because there is the possibility they're going to get that room. Teachers start elevating their expectations of students and deliver a better performance and a better process for kids, because the better teachers get the better classrooms. So it's incentive for them. It also shows when students and their parents come tour the school that they are transforming it, that there is technology going in, that they are raising the bar to the standard at which other children are educated, which means that in this area, it's a choice. You choose what school you go to. So that means that parents and students will more likely choose this school than another school, which brings in additional money. So they started having that impact right away and creating that snowball effect. And you can do that too when you start allocating funds to what is in your dream budget now. Play with the possibilities. I'm going to show you how. Start asking, how can we do this? Instead of thinking we can't do this. And all this has led you to this question, how can we do this? You're opening up the space and that possibility. And here's an exercise I call $10,000 in 90 days. All you do is you put your team in partners or small groups, give them 5 to 10 minutes, and instruct them. Come up with as many ways to bring in $10,000 in the next 90 days as possible. Now, to get them started, you can tell them. It could just be someone writing a check, right? Nothing's off limits. You don't have to figure out how. Just get them writing down and coming up with these ideas so that they're open to the possibilities. Set your group up to look for possibilities and opportunities instead of feeling like there's not enough. To sum up, this is how you budget for attraction. First, you identify your core purpose, because those donors, those people who want to make an impact with their dollars, are going to be more attracted and more likely to give you money when your purpose is clear, because they know where it's going. They know the impact that their dollars are having. The second step is to create your dream budget. Allow yourself to live in the possibility that you can do what you want and make the impact that you want. And the third step is to open to those possibilities so that you can see new possibilities coming in. You can see how money can come in. You can see what you can do, and you're having a different conversation than it's not enough. I'm Cassie Parks. Just remember, your core purpose drives everything.